Hi, everybody. Hi. So I want to introduce Dr. Sean Young. Dr. Sean Young is the Associate Professor of Family Medicine at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA, and he's the Executive Director of the University of California Institute of Prediction Technology, or UCIPT. And UCIPT, we conduct research and we do educational events, like this hackathon, for instance, to study and teach different ways to create innovative solutions to address the most pressing public health problems going on right now. And so, with no further ado, please welcome your host, Dr. Sean Young.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Opioid Symposium and Hackathon 2018. As I was going through the list of attendees of the event outside, it reminded me of a story about a research professor, and she oversees a big institute with different areas of research, and she's walking through a park. And as she was walking through the park, she was with two of her staff. One is a graduate student in data science, and another is a postdoc in medicine. And as they're walking along, they see there was a lamp on the ground. And having heard stories about what you do when you see a lamp, they pick up the lamp and they rub the lamp, and out comes a genie. And the genie says to them, "I will grant you 3 wishes. What do you wish for?" And the graduate student data scientist says, me, I want to go first. Okay. Graduate student data scientist, what do you wish for? And the graduate student says, I wish that right now I was on the beach in Hawaii just sipping Mai Tais and relaxing. And the genie says, all right, graduate student, your wish is my command. And poof, the graduate student's gone. Genie says, who's next? And the postdoc says, I want to go next. And so the genie says, what can I do for you? And the postdoc says, I want to be on the beach in Mexico, drinking margaritas and listening to the ocean and just relaxing. And the genie says, your wish is my command, and poof, the postdoc is gone. And then the genie turns to the research professor and asks her, what can I do for you, professor? And she says, I want both of them back after lunch. Now, it's a joke, but I think it highlights an important point and something that's going to be a big emphasis of the next 36 hours. And that's, we cannot do things alone when we're trying to solve problems. We need teams, we need diverse teams. And this is especially important when we're trying to solve extremely difficult and impactful problems. So for example, every day in the United States, approximately 115 people die from opioid overdose, making it right now the top public health concern in the United States. For a number of reasons, we lack the data and tools to be able to solve this problem the way we need to. Now, our group at UCIPT, we try to work on data and solutions and tools with groups like public health departments to help solve real-world problems like this. And this event, the Symposium and Hackathon, are part of our efforts to try to help address this problem. So for the next 36 hours, we're going to have this symposium to begin with in the morning to teach attendees, especially the hackathon participants, about the opioid crisis. And then after the event, we'll open it up to a hackathon where teams will compete against each other. 25 teams that we've picked will compete against each other for prizes and different types of incentives to try to develop solutions that can be implemented to help address the opioid crisis. We have, in the morning session, you'll be able to hear from a group of experts in medicine and public health about the opioid crisis. How did it begin? What is the background on it? What are our current trends? You'll hear from researchers in data science, in behavior change research on tools that have been applied in other areas and how we might apply them here. You'll hear from implementation scientists talking about how to study and how to implement approaches like this. And you'll hear from a woman who lost her son and how she's, as a result of losing her son to opioid overdose, she's been able to start an organization and be able to have an impact on preventing this from happening to others. This would not be possible without our organizing team. I want to thank our team for helping to put this on. Claire, you've spent countless hours on this. Thank you. I want to thank our advisory board, a mix of people from very diverse backgrounds and expertise. And I want to thank our sponsors who have put in either time and effort and/or funding to be able to make this event happen. Now, one particular funding source I want to highlight and thank is the National Institutes of Health, including National Institute on Drug Abuse and National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, because there is a special carve-out of funding that they provided here for this event and the follow-up from what's called the HEAL Act, Helping End Addiction Long-Term, which is a new federal act based on the opioid crisis and putting aside funding for studying after this event, how can we really change the way public health is done in potentially using hackathons as a method to scale and implement solutions much faster. Now, you'll hear from a lot of serious topics throughout the morning, so keep this a little bit light. For many of us in public health, I think we're often used to having a lot of meetings, and at the end of the meetings, we're not able to solve the problems to the extent that we often want. That's one of the purposes of this event here and that funding that I mentioned from the NIH. We want to be able to study whether we can take creative groups of different individuals from different backgrounds, data science, patients and families impacted by the opioid crisis, public health and medical professionals, be able to take all these groups together and have them compete on teams within just 24 hours and see if that is a way of potentially changing the way we address public health problems and see if we can reduce the time that it takes to address important public health problems. So let's get to the tracks of the hackathon and what will be happening later this afternoon. We're going to have 4 different tracks of the event. 2 of them are going to be focused on software development. So the first one, infrastructure and application interfaces for ethical and secure sharing of opioid-related data among key stakeholders. So this will involve technologies and interfaces that allow patients and families to share data and be aware of the risks of doing so, public health researchers and government stakeholders to be able to have access. Second track will be designing personalized behavior change apps that can be applied by patients or their families, providers, and health systems for long-term reductions in overdose-related behaviors. So for example, in behavior change research, we've gotten very good at being able to nudge people to do something once, but not as good at being able to sustain and get people to keep doing things. That's what this track is going to be focused on. Second 2 tracks will be focused on data science, artificial intelligence, and visualization. The first one being focused on public health departments and finding real-time prediction models and visualization tools to help prevent addiction and overdose. The second of those 2 tracks will be focused on real-time prediction models and visualization tools showing new integrative therapeutic benefits and approaches to prevent addiction and overdose. So this one will be similar to the previous, but focused on new approaches like cannabis and virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, how are we going to, for teams to solve this within 24 hours, obviously takes a lot of creativity and diversity. So we will be providing these diverse teams access to, as far as we know, the largest opioid-related data set of its kind in US history. Teams will get access to more than 150 opioid-related data sets. And many of these will be hosted on Socrata, on our partner sponsor site who's provided support for this. We'll also have a number of other data sources, some open data sources from local government sources and state and federal sources. We'll also have companies, for example, cannabis companies who've provided proprietary data on things like cannabis dispensaries, locations, and sales. Now, we have to have diverse groups and mix of teams to be able to solve this important problem. So we have a distribution where we have about 75% right now of technical or engineering backgrounds of the teams, along with 25% mix from public health, patients' families, and other government backgrounds and key stakeholders. We also have a mix. We have about 50% of teams coming from industry, from large corporations as well as from startups. And we have a mix of the rest from teams from academia, from places like schools like UCI, UCLA, Stanford, and even overseas. And we also have a mix from government, public policy, and public health and medical area. Now I'll stop here, and I just want to encourage everyone to get involved. If you are interested in helping to try to make an impact in this area, you can write to us at Predict Tech. Please use the hashtag if you're tweeting the Opioid Hackathon 2018. A reminder for everyone that this event is being filmed and this morning is being live streamed. Please talk to us if you have any questions about that. And we hope that all of you will learn a lot in this morning's session from these experts, and that you will use this information to really try to work together and make an impact.